And here we go, Baylor football postgame show on 365 Sports. I'm David Smoak in the studio. Lots happening in the Big 12. Emory Winter running the mothership, and we'll get to you in a moment on your feedback on today. Baylor has now won back-to-back. This game today could have gone either way. Both teams at times flashing really good, and then at times they can't get out of their own way, but a 500, nearly 600-yard total offense output by Baylor today, led by Sawyer Robertson, Dawson Pendergrass, also Bryson Washington and Richard Reese. I got a couple of notes. By the way, this is 365 Sports. Baylor wins 38-28. They've won 2 in a row. Isn't it feel kind of like, wow, is that what it's like? Baylor's now won 2 in a row, 4-4 after the win against Texas Tech and Lubbock. And TCU next week, they're trying to hold on to a win, 35-34, that game at home against Texas Tech, where they have come back from that game down big. And then Texas Tech's quarterback Will Hammond, who played at Huddle, the freshman, fumbled as they were driving in the TCU territory to try to set up a game-winning field goal. And Texas Tech has just called timeout as they're trying to get the ball back. If you want to get in, you get in the show. Emory will be able to tell if you're there. Make sure you take your mute button and don't put it on there. Like, unmute yourself. If you get into the portal with us, unmute yourself and get on the show. Here are a couple of notes that I wrote down as the game was going on without getting too complicated. First of all, 345 yards rushing. This offensive line has grown up. Yes, the schedule got a little bit softer, but Oklahoma State prides itself in what they do against the run. Baylor had 345 yards rushing. Dawson Pendergrass, after a fumble near the goal line that was forced by Matt Jones, recovered by Steve Linton, Dawson Pendergrass had a long run of about 50 yards. Then he had another one, ran out of gas. Baylor eventually would score, and he had like a 30-something yard run. Then at the end of the game, then he had a 45 or 35-yard touchdown run called back. Dawson Pendergrass then sealed it with a 55-yard touchdown, and Baylor with 567 yards of total offense. It was a critical play in that one drive before the Pendergrass touchdown. Was a first down, a third down and like 6 or 7 on a throw from Sawyer Robertson to Josh Cameron, who was huge last week with 3 touchdown catches against Tech. That was his only catch of the night, but it was a huge move the sticks catch. Ollie Gordon was okay. Scored a couple of touchdowns. I think he had nearly 80 yards. Their star is Brendan Presley, who had over 180 yards in receptions, and spectacular player. A wiry, small, but wiry, tough kid, the wide receiver from Oklahoma State. I have one thing. Corey Gordon. I want to bring him up on coverage teams. I'm not sure how many times he gets down on coverage teams. I kind of thought he stood out tonight, this afternoon for Baylor in their win. Let's see here. The fake punt at the end of the half is something that Dave Aranda and his special teams coach should not have allowed that to happen. Should not have allowed that to happen. That's about all they're going to do. They went for it. They faked it. Oklahoma State made it, and then also went on and tied the game at halftime. That could have been a turning point that really could have cost Baylor, but they overcame that. I thought the pass interference call late in the game against Baylor cornerback Caden Jenkins was very weak. About 6 minutes left. I thought he was doing a great job in the receiver, but he was called for pass interference. Ollie Gordon scored. He also threw a 2-point play on a pass, got it to 31-28, and then again Pendergrass with the long touchdown run to seal it. One thing I don't understand, and this could be me, and when you win a game and you haven't won many games and you're winning back-to-back and you haven't done that, it seems like, in forever inside the conference, I don't know why when I was leaving at the end of the third quarter, and I have to get from the press box to where the media parking is, to get here to the studio, I was stunned at how many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people walking out of the door, walking out of McLean Stadium. The game was on the line. It was 24-20. And in the end, thousands of people walking out of McLean Stadium. And in my opinion, either you're there to be seen, or you're there for an event. I get it, it's a football game. But why would you be walking out? Dinner plans? You knew the game started at 2:30, so I'm kind of on some people there. I'll take the darts and the bombshells back from you. That's fine. I just didn't quite understand that if you're serious about football. Game is on the line, 24-20. They eventually, Baylor scored to make it 31-20. Not so much into, I guess, a little bit into the fourth quarter. But I just thought, I don't know. I don't get that. Dinner plans? It's a 2:30 kick. It's a 3.5-hour game. Make the dinner plans an hour later. I know it's homecoming, so all the restaurants are crowded. Maybe you're trying to get back out of town. I have to say that, and I'll take the bullets for doing it as well. We'll hear from Campbell Barrington, Baylor offensive lineman, at some point. Baylor again wins the game 38-28. Texas Tech, I'm going to give you some Big 12 scores to update what's going on with the Big 12, because BYU is rolling again, although that game's getting a little bit more dicey with UCF. Big 12, UCF, TCU 35-34. Texas Tech has the ball on their 23-yard line, 23 seconds to go. They need to hit one down the field. Hammond's the quarterback, and trying to get the Red Raiders in position. They led this game at one point, 31-21, entering the fourth quarter, and actually kicked a field goal in the fourth quarter, but right now they're trying to figure out a way to get into field goal range. Utah just scored early on Houston 6-0 in the first quarter of that one, and then BYU 37, that thing may have just gone final. BYU just went final. They beat UCF 37-24. Retzloff, the quarterback, with a couple of touchdown passes, 228 yards. R.J. Harvey had a big day on the ground for UCF, but BYU now 8-0. And they go into Orlando, and they beat UCF, the Knights, 37-24. Cincinnati, Colorado later tonight. Kansas and Kansas State kick off in an hour. West Virginia, Arizona are about to kick off in Tucson. Those are the games today. TCU 35-34, and they're trying, Texas Tech's trying to get into field goal range from their own 23. I've got the game on the screen here in our studio. Hammond, he's the young freshman from Hutto, gets out of bounds. He does not get out of bounds. So I'm not sure if Tech's going to get one more play. They might. There's a flag on the play as well. So Texas Tech trying to get in position. Joey McGuire, that would be back-to-back losses after the 5-1 start. Lost at home to Baylor, got beat up last week, and trying to get a win. It would be a miracle win if they could win this one, but in the Big 12, you never know. And Baylor 38, Oklahoma State 28. We will have Campbell Barrington at some particular point. Now, on my Twitter feed, let me see if I got anybody responding to me. Holding call against Tech, as if they needed that as well. Let's see here. This is from Landon, a great homecoming win from Sullivan Zaboro. These are my Midway dudes. The offensive line from Midway with some notes about last night's win in their homecoming win against Killeen High. You see if I got any more. Okay, here we go. Baylor fans, let me know what you think. I got one from Susie that says, Smokey, we found a way to win. This is the kind of game that Baylor has found a way to lose in the past. It's a good point. I actually felt like at some point maybe that this thing was going to get away, and especially after we got to be 24-20. I just kind of had a feeling that this thing was about to get away, but it didn't, and Baylor ends up winning it. And now at the end of the game, Tech has a player who's running into his own end zone as they're trying to do one of these Stanford Cal games. The ball is now fumbled, picked up by Tech, on the ground. TCU recovers. That one is over, and Sonny Dykes, in what has been a very difficult year, has beaten Tech 35-34 in a gut punch. Maybe more of a punch lower than that for Texas Tech as they lose 35-34. Joey and Sonny are meeting at midfield. All right, so what does this mean for Baylor? What does this mean, in your opinion, for Baylor? If you can't jump on with us, Emery will try to make sure that if he sees you get into where we have, it's kind of like a portal, we'll get you on the show. This is from Chris, a direct message to me from Chris. Smokey, I never thought that Baylor would get back to 500 this year, and I never thought they'd have a chance to get above 500, and now they're 4-4. Win on the road against Tech after, if you think about that quick start at Iowa State, they couldn't hold on. What I thought was a very methodical, really nice game plan, and then, of course, at the end of Colorado, they choke it up, not only with the Hail Mary, but then also with allowing the points in overtime and then the fumble by Dominic Richardson. I don't know if I ever thought they would get to 4-4 or 500 in this season either. I thought at the end they might be able to get to 6-6 if they somehow won a game they weren't supposed to. And that might have been Tech that might give this team a chance. With TCU next Saturday night, blackout at McLean Stadium, they're going to honor the 2013 and 14 Big 12 championship teams. Won't that be an emotional weekend for Baylor fans at McLean Stadium? So there is that also with what's happening. Here's one from Bobby. Bobby said, I cannot believe that this offensive line, that the way it looked for the first month or two of the season, just helped Baylor run for over 300 yards. He did. I mean, they did. Baylor with Dawson Pendergrass led the way with 142 yards. Robertson, Washington had 70-something, and then Richard Reese also was able to get to 57 yards before it was all said and done. A couple of more notes on Twitter from Christian. Smokey, I thought Baylor made the plays when the game got dicey, even from the beginning. Texas Tech took the lead 3-0. Baylor countered 3-3. And then Baylor was able to kind of get something going. As I mentioned, at halftime, the game was tied. And a lot of that was because of the fake punt that Oklahoma State executed, that Dave Aranda and his special team staff they have to be ready for that. Well, what are they going to do? They weren't going to, throw a pass. They were either going to punt it or they were going to fake it. And you have no reason to even have anybody back unless it's to just kind of knock something down. If it's a throw, then great job by Oklahoma State to fake the punt. Eventually, they did score. I thought they got after Alan Bowman. Bowman had over 300 yards passing in this game in the win against Oklahoma State. That's what he does. He sleeps and throws for 300 yards. But one of the things that Bowman can also do is he can throw the ball to the wrong team. And he can do that. I mean, he can absolutely do that. And when you look at Baylor, they gave up Brennan Presley, the diminutive, wiry wide receiver, had a huge day, 183 yards overall passing. But Bowman threw the one pick late in the game that was kind of like to seal it, and then Baylor ran out the clock. He had 359 yards. I'm not looking at a lot of those yards. Now, yeah, there were some guys running free. But he's one of those that can put up 450 without breathing. That's just who he is. He can throw for 450 if you don't get on him, and they were able to get to him a little bit. I'm looking for the overall team stats when it comes to sacks today, and I don't see that yet. I don't see that has been displayed just yet. Let me see if I see anything on the defensive stats. Baylor had 3 sacks. 3 sacks of Bowman, the longtime veteran quarterback at Oklahoma State, who's now been at Tech, been at Michigan, and has been at Oklahoma State. And they weren't even wanting him to be the quarterback right now because they wanted to go to Garrett Rangel, and he got hurt last week in a game where they pushed BYU to the brink. 38-28, Baylor wins it. Emory, want to take a break right here? Can we do that?
Yeah.
Let's take a break, reset, get in the portal, get online. We'd love to hear from you. Also, Campbell Barrington, we should be hearing from him at some point pretty soon. Baylor 38, Oklahoma State 28. The Bears have won back-to-back games. Got to 4-4, got to 4-4 at the 500 mark, and now a bowl game is possible. And it looks like it could happen. But with this team, 1 week at a time, like really even with the best teams. This is 365 Sports.
It's time to score big savings at the Kickoff to Savings event on GMC trucks at Richard Carr GMC. Take the winning drive with the Texas Truck MVP. GMC Sierra is the best truck on the road. Save $9,000 on 2024 GMC Sierra SLT models in stock with approved trade-in. Plus, qualified buyers get 1.9% financing and no payments for 90 days. See dealer for details. Save big and score your deal at the Kickoff to Savings event at Richard Carr GMC.
Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life for generations to come. So get connected, get involved. Learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
Get ready, Baylor fans. The ultimate game weekend experience awaits you at the Baylor Club. Kick off your weekend with our Friday Night Live pep rally. With live entertainment and special appearances from the Baylor Spirit Squad, it's the perfect way to start your game weekend with a roar. On Saturdays, don't miss our Knox Hall tailgate. Enjoy delicious food, ice-cold drinks, and great company as you gear up for the big game. And after the weekend's excitement, wrap it all up with our famous Bear brunches on Sundays. Don't wait. Make your game weekends legendary with the Baylor Club membership today.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Edward Jones financial advisors Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott understand these are difficult and changing times we live in, but they know how important your financial investments are to you. So is your financial advisor staying in touch with you and helping you navigate today's financial climate? Invest with Edward Jones financial advisors Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, who invest their time and experience back to you and your money. And like coaching athletes, investing money is about time, patience, and encouragement. Contact Ben Erlinson at 254-759-8533. Brad Wilson's location at 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, proud sponsors of 365 Sports. Edward Jones, making sense of investing, member SIPC.
All right, we're back on the post-game show. Baylor beats Oklahoma State 38-28. Campbell Barrington, Baylor offensive lineman, joins me. I'm David Smoak, and we do appreciate your time, Campbell. Thank you very much. Can you try to explain, one, the huge win on the road, and it seems like it's given your team, you've kick-started into something that looks like could end up being awfully fun, and what's happened in the last couple of weeks, you guys playing the way you are?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just a group of guys coming together, you know, playing as one unit, playing as a team. I mean, after losing those first few games, I mean, we were all uptight. You know, we needed to make a change, and so, you know, I think we just grew closer as a unit and as a group and as a team. And I don't know, we just had that chip on our shoulder. And now, you know, we've seen what we could do against Texas Tech, and you know, we had to prove it again in this game.
565 yards of total offense. Campbell, people throw the ball. Sawyer had 222 yards passing, but you had 343 yards rushing, averaged 9 yards a pop. Everybody got involved. We saw Pendergrass, Sawyer, Bryson, even Richard Reese. What's happened there with the run game?
Yeah, you know, when Sawyer's slinging that thing, you know, I mean, the run game opens up even more. So big shout out to Sawyer. I mean, that dude's going crazy. So I don't know, when he's slinging it, I mean, our running backs are going to hit them holes hard too. So big shout out to them. Can
you try to define or try to Give me an idea of what is it like watching Dawson Pendergrass run?
I mean, Dawson's crazy. You know, we call him the White Buffalo. I mean, he's gonna hit every gap. He's gonna hit every hole, and he's gonna take a few guys with him. No, not just one guy's gonna bring him down. You saw that in that big run that he had today.
He had one called back, and then he got the one that sealed the game, the 55-yarder. I don't know who it was. Do you know who the offensive lineman was that kind of gave him a little bit of an assist to get out of that scrum?
Yeah, that was Sidney Fugar.
Okay.
Yeah, Sid saw him and grabbed him and gave him that extra push to set him free.
Yep, 55 yards. He averaged 24 yards a carry. He had the long run that got you out of inside the 5 after the fumble recovery by Linton that was forced by Matt Jones. Got about 45 or 50. Then Campbell, he then popped another one for about 35 or 40, but I think his gas tank was empty when he got about the 20-yard line. Were you guys gonna have fun with that with him?
Yeah, for sure. We were already having a fun time with him, telling him to unhitch the trailer, but you know he was gassed after hitting that other big explosive run.
All right, what's it like right now in the locker room today? I know the huge win in Lubbock, but can you give me an idea about following it up and what's it like? Compare the differences in the last 2 or 3 weeks to what you have right now.
I mean, just more energy and just guys understanding that, you know, we are a team that can win out the rest of these games, and so we just have to stay focused, keep our mindset right, and continue working every day at practice.
How difficult, or was it difficult, to keep out the outside noise when things weren't going well?
I mean, it was there, right? And I mean, after losing so many games, I mean, you're going to see that outside noise, and I mean, you just can't let it get to you. You can't read it, you can't see it. I mean, because once it gets in your head, then you'll be acting a whole different way.
It's a long game, hot. You obviously hydrated, all the stuff you did during the off season, during the summer, during August, that leads to a day. How you know, it's easy for us to say because we're in the press box, we're watching the game in the stands. How hard was it at times today, or when it's that hot and you're running over people? At least you're the one that's pushing people back rather than being pushed back.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it was definitely hot, right? I mean, compared to last week, cooled off a little bit, but I mean, every day in the summer we were outside grinding in that heat, so I mean, that just played a big factor into it. And you know, we expected it to be hot, and that was just played more to our advantage. Campbell,
the next week you have TCU, which you get a chance to enjoy today, the win against Oklahoma State, and then you got to clear it and move on. The 2013 and 14 Baylor Big 12 championship teams are going to be honored next weekend. What does that mean to a current player to know that some of those that set the table and the standard are coming back to watch you play?
Yeah, we got to live up to that same standard, you know, hold ourselves accountable for putting another game together and staying focused on TCU.
Campbell, thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time. Congratulations on the win.
Appreciate it.
Campbell Barrington, Baylor offensive lineman, Baylor 38, Oklahoma State 28. Appreciate that from Baylor Media Relations. I saw this note from Craig on his Twitter feed about a half an hour ago. It has been a long time since this happened, but the BU chants that break out as the clock hits all zeros at McLean Stadium. Baylor goes to 4-4, biggest home win in a couple of years, and they will welcome TCU next week. And that was before the TCU game changed and flipped on its head when TCU took the lead and then also recovered the fumble to run out the clock. And eventually Texas Tech was just throwing it all over the place to try to make some kind of miracle happen. So, yeah, I agree with Craig. It's been a long, long time. We brought this up. We brought this up in the pregame show this morning on KWTX and also 365 Sports. Baylor in the Big 12 conference games at home been an offer for about 2 years. The last time they won a home game until today by beating Oklahoma State. And I know they're sick and hearing this. Now they can now it's, when was the last time they won 2 in a row? The last time they won a Big 12 conference game at McLean Stadium was when they beat Kansas in the first third of the season in 2022. They had a great road win at Tech. They had a great road win followed up in Norman against Oklahoma. But the last conference game, Big 12 game they won at home, was in 2022, about just over 2 years ago in October of 2022. Think about that. Well, they hadn't won many Big 12 games anyway. Now they've gone to Lubbock, where they seem to love to play there. And now they have ended that 2-year, when was the last time they won a Big 12 home game? Now, that doesn't matter. It's still a part of history. That doesn't matter because of the win they have today against Oklahoma State. Let me see if there's anybody else that has responded on this. Let me see here. From, I don't know if this is your real name or not, but Boudin. And by the way, I love me some Cajun Boudin. I mean, I really do love the Cajun Boudin. Boudin saying that right now, he goes, I don't know how good Baylor is, but I do know this, that it is night and day than what we saw a month ago, and night and day of how we saw them close out 2022 and 2023. Absolutely right, Boudin. Appreciate your time with us on 365 Sports. Let me go to a couple others. This is from Wilson. I thought that Baylor, on a couple of occasions, they never, even when things didn't go right, you never saw them kind of like go, oh my God, here we go again. They didn't. And there were a couple of times when you wondered, okay, Oklahoma State counters, and here we go again. Like, for example, when Oklahoma State cut the lead to 31-28, there was a huge play in that. There was a penalty on that drive that allowed them to continue the drive. Then they score, and then they get the 2-point conversion to Brennan Presley on an Ollie Gordon pass. Ball pops off of his, like, abdomen or his stomach, or which is the same thing, or his chest, and straight up in the air, and it lands in his stomach. 31-28. Baylor, third down and 6 or 7. And Sawyer Robertson threw a bullet right to Josh Cameron, who picked up the first down. And then it wasn't much later after that Dawson Pendergrass went on that 55-yard, what you could say is a game-sealing touchdown. Oklahoma State never was able to do much and threw the pick to Caden Jenkins to pretty much close that thing out. Let me see. I'm going to give you anything else that's going on in the Big 12. Oh, a couple of other team stats. I want to get to some of the team stats of this game, 38-28 Baylor. Baylor was 3 of 9 on third down conversions. Oklahoma State was 4 of 15. Oklahoma State was 3 for 4 on fourth downs. Baylor was 0 for 1. Baylor only threw the ball 20 times, but they threw it effectively at 11.1 yards per pass, not per completion, per pass. And Sawyer did have one. It was a bad decision. In fact, I put it up when I saw it. It was 3-3. He tried to force one. He was kind of flush from the pocket, ran to the right side, and for whatever reason, I don't know what he saw. It's surely a lot faster down there than it is with me in the press box, but he threw one up for grabs and it was picked off by Oklahoma State, and you're like, he does that, but man, you like all the other good stuff that he does, so he threw a pick, and I mentioned the pick at the end of the game that sewed it up for Baylor after the long Pendergrass run. Baylor, 38 carries, 343 yards, and 9 yards per carry. A lot of penalties in this game. Oklahoma State had penalties, 12 penalties, 84 yards. Baylor had 8 for 93. Oklahoma State also had a fumble that they lost. That was the Ollie Gordon run near the goal line. He was, I don't know who was tied up with him, trying to drag him down at about the 2. Matt Jones comes over, hits him. Ball is loose, and then recovered by Steve Linton, who's making big plays for Baylor. Oklahoma State had the ball for 35 of the 60 minutes. 38-28 Baylor wins the game. TCU next Saturday night will be the game here at McLean Stadium after back-to-back games now at home. Let me see. I'll get a couple more comments in if I can. Hold on. By the way, Emory, thank you for doing what you're doing. Garrett is at that game at Kyle Field tonight, LSU and also Texas A&M. Let me see here what we have. Okay, let me go to a couple of the... All right, this is from Ulysses. I think that Sawyer Robertson might be the best athlete at quarterback that Baylor's had since Seth Russell. Let's see, was Stidham? Yeah, better athlete than Brewer, better athlete than Chapin. Those guys were okay, but no, I think Sawyer Robertson. I'm not sure how you think, Emory, but I think Sawyer Robertson's got a little combination of that. He got a little bit of that. Now, Seth Russell was special, but I think Sawyer's got a little bit of that in him. A little bit of that swagger, a little bit of that poise. Sometimes, yes, he can think about trying to fit a football through a keyhole like he did today, but he didn't have to throw the ball a lot. But I think that the threat, Emory, of him throwing the ball the way he can. Ashton Hawkins had a great catch, by the way, on a touchdown, and so did Presley. I think that he has a little bit of that Seth Russell in him because he could also take off and run.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it just seems like every week he just gets better and better. So I've been super thrilled with the way that he's been playing recently.
All right, this is from let's see here. This is from Roger. What was the attendance like? I didn't look. It wasn't filled. It was okay. I wasn't there when they ran out. I was there early today, but watching games in the back part of the press box in the media section as Baylor, they were doing the prayer and also the national anthem. I stood up for that. Next thing you know, the game was on. Let me give you some scores that are final in the top 25. Ohio State held on to beat Matt Rule in Nebraska 21-17. That game was bang, bang. Early on, looked like Ohio State would pop it open. Nebraska's defense was fantastic. 21-17. Ohio State wins that game. Texas, right now, 27-17 late in the game against Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt is at the Texas 8, but there's only 50 seconds left in that game. It has been very tight. Ewers threw an early pick like he did last week, and then it's still thrown for nearly 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Vanderbilt, touchdown. So it's 27-23 as they throw a touchdown to Stowers, from Pavia to Stowers with 46 seconds to go. Now, of course, they'll go and get the onside kick if they can and have a chance. Miami just scored early on Florida State. Finals from earlier today, Oregon hammered Illinois 38-9. BYU 8-0. 8-0, winning at UCF 37-24. They just keep on doing what they do. Alabama humbled Missouri as if A&M hadn't done that. 34-0. Wasn't the A&M score 41-0? This one's 34-0. Missouri should not be in the top 25, and they won't be after this. Notre Dame beat Navy 51-14. Navy had, of course, gone off to a 6-0 start. Notre Dame has a huge game. They win big. Indiana, not quite as impressive, that they are winning. They're now 8-0. Beat Washington 31-17. And Ole Miss puts Oklahoma to 4-4. Ole Miss winning that game 26-14. So there we are with the top 25. Some other games about to kick off, including LSU, Texas A&M, in what should be one heck of a game at Kyle Field down in College Station. Emory, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks to those of you who at least contacted me today on Twitter. We'll be back again Saturday night late after the game with Baylor and TCU. What a weekend. But the 13 and 14 Big 12 championship teams will be honored. And, I think it's going to be fun to see how many players are able to get back, enjoy it, and see how many people show up with a blackout at McLean Stadium, because and I know, that TCU has owned Baylor since the 2014 61-58 win, Callahan with the field goal. They've owned Baylor. I think Baylor's had maybe 1 or 2 wins since then. Charlie Brewer, like a triple overtime win, and I don't know another one. Not that I'm not, but I don't know another one. And maybe there's one more in there that I just forgot. But that ought to be a hell of a weekend. Hope you'll be able to get into town from wherever you live for TCU and Baylor. For Emory Winter, thanks to Baylor allowing us to have a chance to talk to Campbell Barrington. Final, Baylor 38, Oklahoma State 28. This is 365 Sports. Have a great weekend.
It's time to score big savings at the Kickoff to Savings event on GMC Trucks at Richard Carr GMC. Take the winning